There. Welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question from Molly. Molly says, I've been really, in all caps, struggling with whether or not to drink alcohol lately. I've never had a major issue with it. I do tend to drink more heavily in social situations and on the weekends, but I'm not a regular daily drinker. For some reason, I've become obsessed with the idea that I need to stop drinking altogether. I've read a ton of Quit Lit in the last 2 months and was finally going to quit for good. But now I'm just wondering if my Instagram algorithm has just been targeting me and this is just my mind's way of trying to control something and be all or nothing with a new thing in my life. It used to be food. I'm just struggling to stay in the present moment with this, and I honestly don't know what I want to do or why I feel the need to even make a definitive decision. Any direction you can point me in would be helpful because I honestly don't know how else to approach this besides looking at this as a lot of mind chatter and thought. Well, I think you see it, Molly. Really, what if, drinking aside, whatever happens there is sort of a separate thing. What you're talking about is a lot of mind chatter and thought, and you know that. And it has all the signs of that. I mean, one, that you know what thought is, and there's a lot of it. It feels urgent. It feels like you need to make a decision. It feels very all or nothing. It's getting very, very confusing. Or maybe initially it was like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe this is something I want to do. And now it just feels like it's this like dog chasing its tail. It's getting very heavy and very confusing and very serious. You see that it seems like maybe there's some connection to how this felt with food at one point. So all of that, I think you can really trust your sense and the sense that got you to write this question, the way that you wrote it. You kind of know there's just a lot of thinking going on. So setting aside whether you quit or not, because that just gets to be part of the thinking, right? The thinking is doing all the stuff, but it's like, yeah, but what do I do? Yeah, but am I going to keep drinking? Yeah, but I have to make a decision. But that's part of it. That's the chatter that's happening, right? So you just want to see there's not going to be an answer in that. There is no answer in that. That's a lot of just dog chasing its tail. There's no answer in that. You keep seeing, wow, look at what thought is doing. Look at how my mind is handling this. Look at what's going on here. Look how urgent it feels. And whatever answer, whatever that looks like in terms of drinking or not, isn't going to come from within that. So in a sense, how that kind of, it's hard to say like that this is how it looks or whatever, but it's kind of like in a sense, as that settles down or is just not attended to, something will be done. And it'll be done in real time, and it'll be done in a moment, and it isn't going to happen necessarily the way the mind wants it to, which looks like a for the rest of my life definitive decision. It doesn't, that's not even necessary. So in your case, like what you see what feels right to you about this, I don't know. But because you know the mind is doing this and it's very all or nothing, and you kind of recognize that, I don't know. I think it could be really, really nice for you to just be in this space where that's happening and you don't know what you're doing around drinking. You're like, hey, I don't know. Let's see. Mind is telling me yes, mind is telling me no. All of that's happening. But you can kind of be in this in between because it's just the mind that wants an answer. It just wants to grab onto something it knows. And what I want you to see in this is that's not necessary. That's not even going to do what it promises to do. It's not even going to feel that amazing because it'll grab onto an answer and then just come up with more stuff. That's not really a solution to anything. So what if you, Molly, just hang out in this unknown? Hang out in just, again, has nothing to do with drinking or not. It's like, can you hang out in the feeling of, I don't have a foot in either camp. I'm not choosing black versus white. Hang out in the feeling, the aliveness, this moment right here, sensation, like just this, that is not a decision, that is not a path. That's where I think this is, I don't know, maybe there's like just a lot of value in that for you in particular in how you're asking the question. For sure, just to comment on what you said here, wondering if my Instagram algorithm has just been targeting me, and then my mind's grabbing that and trying to make it mean something. I mean, for sure, the algorithm's targeting you. You read a few things, right? And you get more of it, and it doesn't mean anything. So I don't know. I would just hang out in that and maybe play with it. Maybe play with drinking less if that is something that really appeals to you. Maybe play with not drinking, but I would play with not drinking for like a night, maybe a weekend. Because you know this, Molly. Your mind wants to make it the new forever, and that's a lie. Like, that's kind of the trap. So the hardest thing, and I can so relate to this at one point, the hardest thing is to just be in, I don't know, I'm just going to not drink tonight and see how it goes. Minds hate that. Your mind's going to hate that, but you're good with that. You can handle that. So I don't know. That's where I would maybe kind of advise you to feel into and check out, and just see how that unfolds. So thanks so much for sending your question. You guys can send questions to askamy@thelittleschoolofbigchange.com, and I will see you next time.